guys, welcome back to my channel The Happiness Company. My name is Sonali and I'm super excited for this episode today because it's about relationships. Yes, something that's very intriguing for most of us. Some of us have failed at it, some of us are enjoying the fruits of having a relationship. Not just with parents, with friends, with maybe a boyfriend or a husband. And I think that's something that makes your heart melt at some point when you think about it, don't we? I really can't believe that we're already on episode 4. And if you have been with me on this journey, then I would like to congratulate you, because I think happiness is something that has intrigued me for a really long time. And you know, when I decided to do my happiness project, I just couldn't wait to get started. And if you're one of them who hasn't got started yet, all you need to do is go back and check all my first 3 episodes and then come back and watch this. So shall we get started for this episode? In the previous episode, we'd spoken about the book, The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin, and some lessons from the book and from our lives altogether. Let me quickly take you back to the first 2 steps so that we can go on to the third one. The first one, on this road, on this journey towards success, make good resolutions and take small steps. Do you remember the step number 2? It was release your vital energy, make sure that you're active and get rid of energy guzzlers. Any guesses you have for step number 3? Well, it's about harmonious relationships. It's about how we can prevent ourselves from having negative experiences, maybe also from meeting the wrong kind of people. So how do we do that? You know, none of us are really complete in a lot of ways. I would rather call ourselves beautifully imperfect. And I have celebrated that about myself. But the fact that if we are happy, we have better relationships. Or if you have good relationships with everybody else, you are actually happy. Have you ever thought that? I think this is a very interesting insight that even the author talks about in her book. And then she goes on to discuss some really crucial, interesting parts about her marriage. I'm going to take you through some of it to make you understand how these relationships really impact our mental and physical and emotional health. Rubin had 2 really interesting insights about relationships that I started to notice after I finished the book. Number 1, you can't change your partner. You can only change yourself. And number 2, what you do every single day is more important than what you do once in a while. And in fact, I noticed that I was a person who would do things once in a while. Something very impressive, but I think every single day, I think I missed out on some of the important aspects. Maybe I could have been better. Does this thought bother you too? You know, that's why I decided to do Happiness Company, because I wanted to understand the different aspects that made me happy. In fact, the author also says that she took very specific efforts to make sure that this relationship was fine. And what were those steps? Therefore, she took an effort to sort of keep the bad habits and the sources of unnecessary arguments within herself in a very controlled framework. She stopped nagging her husband. She stopped transferring the negative energy to her husband and started practicing and focusing more on some of the kind gestures, started appreciating more, practicing gratitude. And that, I think, really surprised her husband and in a lot of ways made him happy. And that, in fact, affected her happiness too. Do you know, if you've done one negative thing or you've had one negative experience in a relationship, you are going to take at least 5 more positive and more powerful positive experiences to wipe that negative experience from your memory. Always remember that negative experiences settle down really deep in your mind, and it takes a lot of energy and a lot of practice to really take that off your mind. So if you're able to create more positive experiences in a relationship, you're actually going to be more happy. Have you ever heard somebody say that you don't know how to fight? I was told this many a times. And I think this is very important that you learn how to fight right. Never start your statements by saying you always, you never, you can't, and I'm fed up, and I am not here to listen. Those are things that would actually hamper the other person's listening capacity. I personally think if you really want to even start a discussion, please clear your mind about having a wrong kind of debate, a fundamental basic of debate that the other person is absolutely wrong. Never have that perception. Never start a debate with that thought in your mind. One of the most important parts to remember while being in a relationship is that never take your partner for granted, and make sure that you don't discourage them from doing something. You could tell them, advise them in a better way, but you don't really have to have that lens on to continuously examine them or their behavior. I think some of the most sensible tips work for not just when you are in a marriage, your relationships just in general. And if you're able to practice a few simple things like appreciation, gratitude, kindness, I think most of your relationships are going to give you a lot of happiness. When I was very young, I had unintentionally said something wrong to somebody, ill-treated. And I remember my parents immediately corrected me by saying that never treat somebody the way you wouldn't like to be treated. And that stayed with me, for my life. I think it's very important that if you want people to be nice to you, you need to be nice to them as well. Make sure that they feel happy in your company, in your presence. Make sure that you don't use rude words, that you don't be sarcastic to people. It's only little niceness that makes people's day or spoils their day. It sets the tone for their day. If you can be nice to them, if you can be kinder to them, I'm sure they're going to reciprocate. Well, that was essentially the step number 3, which is for harmonious relationships, you need to have gratitude, kindness, and practice more of self-change. Listen, you can change yourself, but you really can't change anybody else around you. And actually, I did try changing somebody. I failed miserably. But then when I started working on myself, I think it was one of the best experiences I had, because I could really control the way I felt. I could really control the way I thought, and also the way I behaved with others. So make sure that this week you practice being nice, being kind, and practicing gratitude. Let me know in the comment section how this week goes, and I'm going to see you very soon in the next episode. This is Sonali, and this is your very own happiness channel, The Happiness Company.